So Nintendo announced like a day and a half ago, we will be holding a Nintendo Direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch software lineup for the latter half of 2024. But please be aware that there will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during that presentation.
That's fake.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, some people still call that clickbait, which is wild. But yeah, so what's crazy about this is that we have a Nintendo Direct that has been confirmed most likely more than a month in advance.
That's crazy.
And
Yeah.
that's leading some people to kind of think that maybe we're looking at a scenario where this Direct is like a really big deal. I personally have been trying to caution people to not think this is the biggest, bestest Direct ever. I think they just kind of said that to sort of show commitment to Nintendo Switch 1 still, because they just announced Switch 2. That said, I think this also suggests that this is probably a general Direct, and they said it's for the latter half of 2024.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a decent Direct. It's not going to be a mini. It's not going to be a partner. And when we also take a look at Nintendo's financials, they're still pretty high. They're still trying to sell 13.5 million Switches, which is like it's a less than 20% drop over the prior year. Same thing with net sales. And so that implies that overall Switch hardware and software sales are going to still be pretty darn healthy without Tears of the Kingdom, without Mario Wonder, without the Mario movie. And this first half of the year has been kind of dull. So what are they going to put out in the second half that's going to get them close to actually hitting that forecast? I think that does imply that they have some solid plans.
Metroid.
Yeah, Metroid Prime 4 would be crazy.
I'm telling you, if they release a Metroid Prime 4, like I have it in my head, like the version I have in my head, like this fully open zones, battlefield style, where a lot of Federation fighters can go in there and just fight, and then have Metroid in your ear just directing you places and fighting against other aliens just in multiplayer mode, and then have the additional story mode, but just bigger and badder, They could take Metroid into that, just make Breath of the Wild it, make it bigger, just kind of grander, instead of just kind of like the they have to break the mold to make that game a better, bigger game. But I think it ends up being
I agree with you, Mike. I think it's possible we get Metroid this year. I'm not confident enough to say we probably will, but I firmly believe the last announcement of the Direct is going to be Prime 4. I could see a cinematic trailer, maybe no gameplay, especially if it's not this year, or if it's not even a Switch game, it's a Switch 2 game. It's just a cinematic trailer with a 2025 logo at the end if it's not this year.
Yeah, right.
And then that gets everyone hyped. But I also see Prime 2 and 3, like this is the perfect time to shadow drop it. If those are indeed coming to Switch, shadow drop it. End the Direct with the Prime 4 cinematic teaser, 2025, 2024, whatever. But even if we don't get it, Prime, you made a great point that Donkey Kong could be on the cards for a later year Switch title. And I think that would be a great game for the holiday, especially if they kind of innovate on that one. All in all, I think we're going to get some good ports. Right. Xenoblade is a possibility.
Xenoblade Chronicles X, don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I've been hurt.
Nah.
I've been hurt.
I know. But for me personally, I got to be honest. I think there's a lot of cool stuff they can do. Obviously, they can make the final Switch NSO announcements, whatever the final kind of
Banjo-Tooie.
There
also,
we go.
Metroid Zero Mission.
Zero Mission.
Oh, that's a good
one. That's a great one. But
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
You guys, I feel like I really don't need much. We got confirmation that we're going to be officially seeing Switch 2 within the next fiscal year. Yeah. There's a high likelihood that it will be in our hands in March-ish time. And dude, the hype train is on the way to the station. Get your tickets because it is full steam ahead by the end of this year.
Okay.
So, can I get an amen? Let's focus on the Direct, though. Let's focus on the Direct.
Yeah, we'll focus on the Direct. We'll focus.
I think, Nate, I agree with you with the Donkey Kong stuff, especially because when is the theme park open? That's like relatively soon?
So right? It depends. It opens in 2025 here in the States for Donkey Kong.
Japan.
That's what I'm saying.
Japan's this fall.
Japan's is later this year. I think it's August or October.
Yeah, I think it's
It
planned
was
right now to
initially
be right
slated to
before.
open in spring, but they delayed it.
Yeah, they delayed it, and it's I think it's September, and it's now supposedly the museum's going to be happening like right after it too.
Yeah.
I
wonder
think
why
we
they
get a
delayed it.
huge update about the theme park. Like I genuinely think they're just gonna they might that might be like
I mean,
a good 5 minutes of the direct.
I'm going to also say
showing
that
thing
I'm
off.
also going to say one reason I think because you said why did they delay it? I think there's an issue with the Donkey Kong ride, and they got to redesign it. They've been running test runs of that ride over and over. We have literal footage of it. I think there's like an actual major design flaw, and so they have to like go back to the drawing board a bit. So 6
Yeah,
months
they lost
delay.
a lot of chimps in the making of that.
You
ride.
lost a lot of
Okay.
chips.
I do not
Yeah.
approve of animal cruelty. That's
By the way, it's a really cool ride.
The mine cart keeps
bet.
coming
It is a really-
off the thing just like in the video games.
So
Diddy Kong quit.
I can talk based on the one here because I have a friend who's working in the construction right now for Super Nintendo World. The Super Nintendo World here is the biggest one out of all of them. It's gonna be the biggest one out of all of them.
Yeah, it's opening everything at once.
Yeah, it's a epic universe. You saw the
Team
entrance.
Florida.
The entrance is just massive. It's crazy, like a huge. But their schedule they're right on time. Like everything's is going very smooth. And then they just released on Universal Studios on Twitch the actual reveal of the entire park and how it's going to look and everything.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So I'm guessing Donkey Kong alongside with the park could be 2025 game for Switch 2. In the Nintendo Direct, announced in this Nintendo Direct.
But so you're talking.
I could see
You mean like a
game.
cross
Well,
gen?
I'm gonna. You said for Switch 2. I'm just
Wait,
gonna
wait,
go out of the limb and say Furukawa's been pretty direct. I don't think he's lying when he says there's not gonna be.
Yeah.
You know what? I realized I said that, and I kind of like hold myself back because Furukawa did say that.
If it was Iwata, I'd be like, yeah, okay, yeah. Let me listen to Iwata. Furukawa's been like very direct, which I appreciate. It's very.
Let me reiterate, but please be aware that there will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during that presentation.
Which doesn't mean it
Reference
can
to the Direct.
potentially be a game that you just don't know is for the successor.
That'd be
if you
crazy.
want
Right.
to.
Like,
And that's
I've
why I mentioned
speculated
Prime
that
4
Prime
saying
4.
2025.
Yeah,
I mean,
like it
technically
could
every
close
game
the
is gonna be
Direct,
part of this too.
and then they could announce like after the Direct on Twitter or a few months later. Oh yeah, by the way, Prime 4 is cross-gen. Kind of like how did they confirm Breath of the Wild was cross-gen? Did they do it at the E3 or did they do it later on?
They did it during the investors meeting when they show off the first new art of that. It's like, oh, Breath of the Wild will also come to NX. They did it during the investors meeting. Like they were like very preemptive about that shit.
Yeah, they told us that before E3. We knew.
So
one thing I want to point out about this Direct, and like we bring up the fact that they're planning to sell 13.5 million Switches this fiscal year, which is to me incredible. Like that is a lot, especially since they also announced Switch 2 is coming. Or at least going to be revealed or whatever they're going to do. They at least said it exists, which they already admitted, by the way, in the Q&A, they know will affect sales. He just straight up said we can't pretend this isn't going to affect sales, but we are still bullish that we're going to be able to do this. And I go, okay, well, they also mentioned in the Q&A about they have ideas or plan. I can't remember the exact word, but they have initiatives. Yeah, initiatives, which to me means there's probably a price drop and other stuff involved that's going to help bundles, all that stuff.
The bongos, baby.
But I also think, and the fact that they wanted to announce this June Direct just for Switch for the second half of this year, I think the second half of this year, I've kind of come around thinking that for Switch, it's actually going to end up being a really, really nice second half of the year.
I think so too.
And I think they're because looking at 13.5 million tells me they want to do a PlayStation. They want to maintain momentum of the system heading into the next. And so to do that, you can't just do what you did in the first half of this year. Which, by the way, it's not a bad half. We had a game on average every month. It's just we didn't have any like bigger ones. Well, maybe it's because they're all backloading it leading into the next platform. And that's why I think Metroid Prime 4 could literally be the game this year. They just say, you know what? This thing's been in development since 2017 technically, but if you want to talk about it, probably since late 2018, which I don't think they were even touching Switch 2 dev kits back then internally. Not saying dev couldn't have switched over and it can't be cross-gen and all this stuff, obviously, but I do somehow think that they maybe looked at what Sony usually does by having that really strong exclusive game right towards the end and go, hey, let's have that game actually be a big deal going into the holidays this year. Also gets Nintendo, because right now, Nintendo's got no reason to even be in the Game Awards this year. That would be the game that'd be like, nope, Now you're in the Game Awards. Now we're going to keep mentioning you. Oh, and by the way, we can keep marketing Switch 2 while we're there, while we're busy winning awards. So I think that could come this year. I think Donkey Kong could actually still come this year too, and that would be like the 2-pack of the 2 new games. Like they did 2 brand new games first half, brand new. And I know we could talk about they did announce obviously the NES World Championship game. You could argue that's new, but
that's basically a remaster.
Game of the year. Game of the year.
But was anyone else like slightly disappointed by that? Sorry, no.
Whoa. We rejected that topic. We rejected that topic. That was literally part of the topic.
Oh, my bad.
Anyways, no. Sorry, we had multiple opportunities to choose that topic. We didn't choose it. So no, we are. To me, looking at this second half, I think it's going to be really good. I think those 2 games are possible. It could be something else. It doesn't have to be those 2 games, but I think they're possible, and I don't think that's it. Yeah, we could have a shadow drop of Prime 2 and 3, or they could spread them out or do whatever. But I think things like Zelda remasters back on the table.
Yes,
me too. I think either Zelda Princess or both. I think they're on the table. For I mean, think about what
shadow drop them during June, please.
You can have Metroid Prime 4, a new Donkey Kong, Zelda remasters.
Collection.
Now, alone, those 3 games alone would already ensure this is. Hey, that 13.5 million doesn't sound so insane now.
I got a question. I got a question for you guys about the Zelda remasters. I know we've all been hoping and praying and expecting Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD, and I certainly hope it comes. Wind Waker is my favorite game of all time to this day.
Yeah.
So I want those so bad. But how would you guys feel? Nintendo's been bringing over like DS and 3DS games. How would you guys feel about a remaster or remake of A Link Between Worlds landing on
all
Switch?
over it? Yep. All over it. Excellent game.
Yes. It's so good.
It's such a good
I'd
game.
be stoked. Yeah. I don't think it hits as hard for people as Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, but I'd be really
but
cool.
it could.
I'm excited.
It could if they play it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If it would be if it looked like visually kind of on I don't want to say the same style, but on par with a Link's Awakening, I'd be all right, cool.
Yes.
I remember seeing that on like Good Morning America, and it was kind of crazy. It was kind of crazy, just like I was like, wow, that game got way more mainstream than I thought it would. Yeah. So like I don't know, people in the 2D, I don't know, they like the 2D Zeldas a lot. I think it would go really, really hard.
Yeah. I will say that of all the 2D Zeldas, that would be the one that would be least hype for me because that's the most recent one. I would prefer any of the other ones.
But it's so good.
It's great. I love it. I want like, I don't know, like Oracle of Ages and Seasons.
There is the rumor that says that Grezzo is working on Oracle remasters. And that those might be the games that we get this year.
That would be great.
That would be rad, especially if they announced they were doing that 3rd canceled game.
Ooh, Mystical Seed of Courage.
Or what if the
Oracle of Secrets?
What if it's the only one? They just released a 3rd one.
That would be so wild. If they just like is like the Legend of Zelda Oracle of Secrets, and that's like it's ages and
it includes the content, right? Like, but it's that would be so cool. And then you play the game, and then like it basically presents itself as a bundle, and then you boot up the game, and it's like go down the paths of ages, go down the path of seasons, and then you do both, and it unlocks the secret path.
Beautiful.
Oracle secrets.
I find hilarious. What if they do have this really nice? Just like, by the way, none of the games that we're necessarily talking about at this point are ones that you would be like our Mario Wonder level sellers and stuff like that. Although we hope Metroid Prime 4 possibly could be.
Wind Waker, Twilight Princess could sell like
maybe. We'll see.
10.
We'll see. I hope.
10.
I hope they've never done it before.
If it's a collection like 3D All Stars,
sure, but we'll see. But what I will note is I keep thinking about this, and I've looked at the lineups of the other platforms because I cover all their events, and apparently there's supposed to be a PlayStation event rumored to happen this month, so we'll see what happens with that. But even with like the PlayStation 5 Pro coming out this holiday, between like potential price drops for Switch and maybe this pretty strong lineup, does Nintendo have a possibility in the final holiday for Switch to win the holiday sales?
I think so.
Oh yeah,
yes.
I mean, you combine the price drop with a pretty strong slate. That's insane.
Bundles.
Think about that. We're in year 8. That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. Price drop and bundles. I think it's totally possible.
Yeah, price drop bundles, a decently strong lineup, and I think Nintendo's 13.5 million might not sound so insane, even if they've already announced Switch 2 and they're starting to market it a bit. Won't matter. People, one, there's already a big install base that'll buy the games anyways, right? Like that's one thing. The games are just going to sell. That's been proven on Switch. The install base is there. They'll buy the games. No one's going to wait to buy games right now if you own a Switch. And to keep the Switch selling, price drop. I mean, look, you make it an undeniable purchase now, second purchase, third purchase for people because you dropped even like I'm not going to say I could see as an example the Switch Lite being this is insane, $99 this holiday. I don't know they're going to do $100 price drop on all versions.
You mean the Switch Lite? Oh yeah, that's possible. Yeah,
but like that's the one they target towards kids. They've done that $99 price drop on multiple generations before for the cheapest version.
And Furukawa said that he wanted to sell the third and fourth Switch for a family member. The way they can do that is
make it cheap.
Making another edition one.
Oh, sure. I think another special edition.
A Metroid Prime edition.
Metroid Prime 4.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
So, if there's an edition, I'll
take another Zelda one if they do that collection.
Oh, yeah.
True.
Something that I'm kind of thinking about, right? Like you look at the net sales, right? The net sales are pretty good that they're forecasting. And they've already clarified that the hardware sales are just for Switch. Like they're not doing
they came directly out. This does not include any potential other hardware.
And I wondered it for a little bit because we did hear that they were referring to it as a Switch Next model, right? But
if it would be in the family that they're
they made it really clear. And I thought it was worth considering just because we remember the Game Boy Color, how they included that with Game Boy sales, but it's just Switch.
Yes.
But what's interesting about this is, so how do they get to the 13.5? We assume price drops, but here's the thing about price drops. Yes, that will improve sales, but they also make less money because they're selling it for less. So it's just interesting to seeing how good the net sales are.
Oh,
well,
it's not a criticism. It's an observation.
They are projecting like it's either profits or revenue to be down like 20%.
Yeah.
So a lot of that can be explained by, hey, if you're still planning to sell almost as many Switches as last year, well, then how are you making less money? One, they are projecting a lot less software.
So their net sales, right? They're forecasting a 19.3% drop.
Yeah. I've also seen people use this to argue Switch 2 can't be this year, but we'll get to that in the next topic.
Well, I'm actually arguing the opposite though, right? Like if they're already forecasting a 14% drop with Switch sales, and we're making the assumption that they're going to have to do price drops to even sell that lower number, then they're going to make even less money, right? And we don't have things like the Mario movie, right, or Tears of the Kingdom OLED to boost revenue, right? So
that was huge last year.
So my point is this: if we kind of factor all these things, it seems kind of, in my opinion, obviously, I'm making this as an opinion here, right? But it doesn't seem like they can hit that net sales forecast unless that also is accounting for, that little blip at the end.
Well, I will also note a little blip at the end. Like if Switch 2 did come out in March, just to kind of throw that in there, is that it's not going to, like, we're talking like 2 or 3 million system sales at a time when the system is actually the least profitable is at launch. It's always the least profitable time for a platform. And software on it, there's not a big install base, so the software is not going to sell crazy either. So I actually don't think it would be that big of a bump. Where that, like, you look at the 19-20% stuff, it's like, well, it's really not that big of a deal.
I mean, it's not I'm not saying a big bump, but enough to make the numbers work. That's
no
question.
Do you see what I'm sharing? Okay,
yes.
It's already on. Like, so this is just interesting in relation to what you're talking about, because you look at the beginning years of Switch, right? This is their profit.
Switch is insane.
It's good. This is good relative to the years of Nintendo, but it's not as good as the peak of Wii. But now you look at the second half of Switch and see where we're at now, right? And so Nintendo's currently enjoying this, and they're forecasting just a little bit of a drop. But still probably in that territory.
Yeah. They're forecasting like 2022-ish numbers, which is still insane.
Exactly.
So would a Nintendo Switch OLED Donkey Kong edition be a system seller?
I was thinking so. That.
I think
especially because they can use the Mario movie as like a way to promote, because the Mario movie is still like topping charts on streaming services.
Well,
so.
They also have the accessory.
I'm glad you.
The bongos also has an accessory.
There we
Do
go.
you guys think it's possible? Do you think it's possible we get a Donkey Kong movie announcement? Because I thought before they announced Zelda that Donkey Kong was the next one that we were going to see. They already got an all-star playing. They got Seth Rogen playing DK. Everyone loved the character in the movie. It seemed like a match made in heaven. The park's coming. That they're adding on to all the theme parks. I feel like we'd see that movie before Zelda. I don't think we're seeing Zelda till 2027, the earliest.
Ooh.
Yeah, it all adds up for Donkey Kong. Like everything lines up. I agree with the park and the movie and the game.
This gets said every single event, but I would really appreciate a Hollow Knight Silk Song date in this direct would be sweet.
That'd be cool.
That'd be nice.
Look,
that game doesn't exist.
By the way, it could be in the Xbox event because that's like the last time they had it in anything, and Xbox is going on June 9th. But I'm just saying that, like, man, we now have like ESRB ratings. Like, okay, can we just like stop playing so coy?
I want to go back to the Zelda movie real quick. Just a quick little thing, right? Like, I totally get where you're coming from in terms of like expecting it later, right? Especially with how long we had to wait for the Mario movie. But I think it's worth noting that it's a live action, and live actions are in general done quicker than CGI movies.
Way quicker.
Right. That's true. That's true. Wes Ball just finished up his Planet of the Apes. I'm sure they're in really early. I'm sure they're still working on scripts.
2026, the 40th anniversary.
In time, right around when Ocarina of Time remake will launch.
Listen,
I do think 2026 is probably.
He's been done with Planet of the Apes since November.
Yeah, I know.
November of last year. He said he was going to take a couple of months break in order to prepare to enter Hyrule. So right now, I'm pretty sure they've already entered pre-production. They can't say much yet, but pre-production is where they finalize the script, they start location hunting, they put the team together, and then they start casting. So I wouldn't rule it out to hear something about the casting this year,
like September.
No, that
2026 is when I see the movie coming out. Even
2026.
Even if we get the Donkey Kong movie as well, it's animated versus live action,
right? Like it doesn't have to be one movie per year.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd
probably
love
to be like 26. Marvel someday, right? Like where they have just waves of movies.
Listen, why? Because 2026 is also the projected time where the Lands of Hyrule and Universal Studios plans to open, where the park for Lost Continent used to be. They already closed it down, so now they're working on that.
If the Zelda part of the park is ready, oh my god! Okay,
the Zelda park. Wait, I didn't even know
why
that.
Did you think Aonuma was there, buddy?
He was there.
He was there for.
And then the photos got taken off the internet.
Yeah.
But let me just know he was there. Duh. Do you know they're planning Zelda out like that?
And he was dressed like the construction guy.
Overhyped the Triforce in the background.
Ocarina of Time,
And let me just mention very quickly. I've already mentioned it, but I'm mentioning it a second time because I'm just excited. There's the Ocarina of Time remake theory, right? Like the idea behind it would put out some kind of high-profile Zelda game that could be done fairly quick, as a stopgap before the next 3D Zelda years from now. But it wouldn't be able to. It probably wouldn't come out at launch because you have things like 3D Mario, Mario Kart. But maybe about a year or so into Switch 2, which would position us for what? Holiday 2025 at the earliest, but more likely 2026, which is where we're kind of talking about. Close to this movie, close to this park opening. It could be like Zelda Heaven in 2026, which would be a nice stopgap for us until the next one.
And then check this out. To add on top of all of that, with the park opening possibly in like 2026, along with the movie 4th anniversary, a game. If Miyamoto and Nintendo is truly like that ingrained into this movie, like they were with the Super Mario Bros. Movie, I'm pretty sure the Zelda movie is going to be a big hit in certain degrees. And that since it's live action, you know how they do in Disney parks when it comes to characters, they take the design that Link, Zelda, Ganondorf, whoever is in the movie, they hire lookalikes at the park.
Yep.
So, question, because this is obviously a direct topic. Do we think there'll be any movie news in the direct?
No.
Really? I thought there would be something.
There might be Mario movie news, like
I could see like a Donkey Kong one. Yeah, I could see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the park. I was just gonna say, I don't think we're
Gamer Classic, you go, buddy.
Okay. No, I was just gonna say I don't think there's any chance we see anything about it because I was obviously leaning towards 2027. You guys might be right. They might want to really time it with the 40th anniversary and get the movie out by 2026. But I do feel like if it is 2026, it's going to be very late. It's going to be holiday 2026.
Can I say why I don't quite disagree with you, but I start corner. The reason why I say this is because if you put the timeline on when they started talking about the Mario movie, when they first announced we're making a Mario movie, so then when they announced the cast, and then they kind of kept doing directs towards it. Let's say 3 directs a year or to 4 talking about the movie. They just announced the movie. We're working on a Donkey Kong movie stated for 2026. They don't have to say anything else, right? Then give us another direct, announce the cast. Give us another direct, the first trailer, another direct. Same thing what they did with the Mario movie, and they can actually then towards 20. By the time we know it, we're in 2026. And they're gonna give us the movie. So I'm guessing I put the movie around March 2026, or kind of summer,
which is less than 2 years from now.
So another thing about this direct, do we think that this is it? This is the final Switch direct?
Yep,
I think so.
It could be.
Not that they won't actually advertise games and other
Switch
directs.
focused.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Switch focused.
final Switch one only direct.
Yeah.
Or do we think, September they'll just drop another one?
I think
that's
all right. If we're gonna get one in June, I feel like we have the possibility of having maybe one more before the Switch 2 reveal, and then that's when it goes. But I mean, like, I keep calling it E3 time, even though E3 doesn't even happen anymore. Like June time, summer games and whatnot.
Yeah, now it's Summer Game Fest time.
It's June.
Let's stick with that.
So I think that Furukawa was intentional with his announcement, and I think it actually ties into, hey, we're having a direct in June. We're not going to talk about Switch 2. We're having a direct in June, talking about Nintendo.
Yeah,
kind of like focusing on that. It could be the very last one for the Switch, and maybe they might announce games all the way to March of 2025.
I do look at the wording. Where he's like, hey, there will be nothing Switch 2 in this, kind of indicating that, okay, well, there's going to be something Switch 2 later this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And ergo, the next direct might possibly have it. And we've had the whole speculation about how for like the last year and a half now, they've been putting Nintendo Switch in the name of the directs, which they weren't doing before then. So already sort of setting the precedent that they were going to eventually have one that wasn't about Switch. And I do think that Furukawa warning us now is him knowing now that they have announced that they're going to say something in this fiscal year. Expectation every time they have any sort of presentation is going to be it's Switch 2 time, and he knows it. And so he's like, hey, no, not happening this time.
Not this time.
Well, we're not denying it for next time. And so we're just going to kind of leave, unless he's going to announce the direct again a month plus early just to tell us it won't be there again. And they'll be like, okay, I guess you could do that. I don't think Furukawa is going to do that.
I do want to talk about a few more direct things. So there's a couple things I have in mind. One's first party, one's third party. The first party one is Fire Emblem Remake. I think this is interesting because this one's
genealogy of the whole world.
Right. It's been, and the rumor comes from the good, like the really credible leakers like Nate the Hate, right? Like, so it's kind of like, all right, we're just kind of waiting for this. But if it's a remake and not a remaster, right? Like that kind of adds a little bit more, ambition behind it, right? So it could be almost treated like basically like a brand new Fire Emblem, kind of like Thousand Year Door, basically, right? Like Thousand Year Door to me is basically a new Paper Mario game. I'm kind of getting the sense that maybe they go in that direction with this Fire Emblem one, and that could be like, a remake for the second half of the year that would be a fairly substantial game.
They wouldn't. I mean, that's been rumored too. Like, as being just done and just sitting on a shelf and just waiting.
And it would be, and then you show that, right? People are like, oh, that looks like just a brand new Fire Emblem.
I also want to note about all these things that are supposedly rumored to be done. I don't know if they're all going to come this year. I do think they're going to keep selling Switches during the Switch 2's life, and the games you're going to expect that Nintendo would put out would be like these remasters.
I was gonna ask other than Metroid Prime 4, which
it won't be a lot, but I think they'll have like a couple next year, maybe one in 2026, and
maybe
then
January, February.
Because it's kind of what they did with 3DS during the Switch era. Like there'll be a few that sort of trickle out because hey, look, we have a massive install base. We still want to make money off it, and hey, third parties are still going to indie games are still going to put on, because it's going to take, I would say probably till the Switch is like a Switch 2. Let's just presume it's out by holiday next year at the latest. It's probably gonna take at least till its second holiday before that install base is big enough now where everyone feels confident that now all our games are gonna sell well if we put it on there.
I bet there's gonna be announcements for games that we're gonna be like, okay, great, Nintendo, we're so excited for this.
Meanwhile, we know about the next year of massive Switch 2 titles coming, and we're like, yeah, thanks for letting us know about. Look, there's another Fire Emblem remaster. You're dropping on Switch.
I'm basically Fire Emblem remake would be actually pretty exciting to me, but I'm what I'm getting at is I think there's also gonna be games that will be published by Nintendo that'll be like, okay, if there's literally nothing else to buy and I run into a lot of money, I might do it, but kind of like Another Code Recollection, kind of like Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. Like, these are games that, yes, I'm sure fans are going to enjoy, or Endless Ocean, but it's definitely like more on the niche side than even like things like Xenoblade or Fire Emblem, right? Like, I think we're gonna get more of those in this direct, and those might even be like the January, February games. Like, there's gonna be a little bit of that. Like, one that could be actually a big deal that would not be niche, but I wouldn't buy, would be a remaster of Tamagotchi Life.
Yeah,
a
lot of people's been wanting that.
That was so
I can see that happening. I mean, they already did. What was that other one they did?
Miitopia.
Miitopia. So like, I can see that happening, and like, not. We keep talking about obviously these bigger ones. There's still going to be smaller stuff like we're getting with the Nintendo World Championships July 18th. So that kind of figure based on when that timing is, middle of the month. That's probably the July game. But that leaves all these, if they're going to do what they did in the first half,
we have a release date.
More
games. It is
games.
a July game.
Yeah, July 18th. Yeah. So if they're going to do what they did in the first half again, average a game a month. Okay, that gives us 5 games they could announce in June. Which, by the way, that's one reason why I think people maybe shouldn't temper your expectations at this one, because that's a lot of new games announced for a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And so it might be pretty hype.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's going to be all these big games that we're talking about, but I think some of them will be there. And I do think they're going to have a brand new Nintendo published, like brand new, a game we don't know about officially yet, published every single month the rest of this year for Switch. Yeah.
I'm curious your guys' thoughts on we talked about games that we thought might be announced for this holiday for coming through this Nintendo Direct, and the possibility of Prime 4. Maybe Prime 4 is this year, maybe it's next year. But usually Nintendo, even when they do the games are focusing on this half of the year, they always show like 2 or 3, sometimes even 4 games that are beyond the year that go into 2025.
Yeah, Steel Diver HD.
Sure. I'm curious what predictions for
Pokemon
later
ZA.
Switch games you expect.
Pokemon Legends ZA, because it's already.
Yeah. Do you think that'll be there?
Yeah, it's already announced. It's already announced for Switch.
Yeah,
actually, what's interesting is that we could conceivably have another Pokemon Presents before that Direct.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, we really
there actually is a possibility.
Yeah. And by the way, they could also announce another Pokemon game to come out this year.
Technically,
yeah.
What about Triangle Strategy 2?
Which, by the way, would explain their bullishness.
Phenomenal.
So I remember Team Asano. Yeah, Team Asano did say that they're going to have some sort of like Bravely announcement this year.
I did see that.
Yeah. Triangle Strategy 2 would be rad. That game's so good.
Yeah,
Bravely the Third.
Dude, everything they've made.
Bravely the Third is possible.
So they're just
Octopath 3.
Yeah. I mentioned a third-party game that I think could be announced, actually. I think, obviously, I mean, maybe it's not obvious, right? But most of us are assuming Switch 2 is not this year, right? Like, based off how Nintendo words it doesn't see. It seems like,
especially with them saying second half 2024. It's like, okay, it seems your plan Switch this year.
It would have to be a super intentional, really weird. It's not happening. Like, basically, it's not happening, right?
And 13.5 mil, gotta have a holiday period.
No.
Right, but the reason I bring that up is just because there's been this expectation that Switch 2 would get Call of Duty, and the deal has been signed already, right? So there's a commitment. So is it not possible that we could see some kind of Call of Duty experience
Call
on
of Duty
Switch this year?
I wouldn't even say experience.
This year?
Here's the thing. We don't know the language of the contract, so we don't know if it starts with the next generation system or not, because we don't know the exact details of the contract. But once it starts, we know it's 10 years. And the thing is, it's a feature parity version of the current Call of Duty is how it was worded. So it wouldn't just be like a random version. It would be the Call of Duty coming out this year. And that would already be announced on June 9th.
Not Call of Duty Reflex Edition.
We might already know on June 9th if Call of Duty is coming to Switch this year. Because it'll have all the platforms announced.
So this is what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that that deal that you're referring to doesn't start until next year. And to warm us up, they give us a Black Ops collection on Switch this year.
Black Ops collection. No, they're just gonna give us a remaster of World of War, and that's it.
I could see that this is just something I thought about. Like, let's say they clarify. Hey, the first brand new Call of Duty is going to come to a Nintendo platform 2026. But hey, just to get a jump start this year, the one that I think that makes the most damn sense would be Warzone coming up.
Warzone.
Yeah, that makes
literally it's massive, it's popular, it runs on phones. Get Warzone over.
Exactly. Because it runs
that
on
would be
phones.
the one to drop later this year that would give people
calculators.
So like, and I'm not saying that's what they're gonna do, but it would also fall in line with the a feature parity current version of Call of Duty. That is current. It's always supported. It's arguably bigger than their normal Call of Duty games. So
interesting.
Because it's evergreen. It's one they've actually successfully created a service Call of Duty game that is working for them. So
I got a few games.
It isn't really a surprise how big that franchise is that they made it work.
Yeah, they finally got it. Yeah, they finally worked it around.
I think we might get more than one game per month because I mean this month we got Luminous and Super Mario. Right?
We didn't get a game last month, so
next month.
In April we did not get an Nintendo published game.
June we have Luigi's Mansion, so that's when the direct is taking place. So whatever Shadow Drop they decide.
Luigi's Mansion 1.
If they Shadow Drop, I
really like Luigi's Mansion.
I'm not saying we're going to get. I'm saying we could get.
Yeah. Nintendo, can we not Shadow Drop Prime 2 and 3? Can we actually just have a release date?
Shadow Drop only digital version and then physically there.
I actually
they Shadow Drop Prime, so I mean they're probably going to Shadow Drop Prime 2 and 3.
I got it. Prime 2 and 3 is a pack in for the pre-order for Prime 4. They did
we don't do that anymore, Prime. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Those were the golden years. You guys remember that Wind Waker pre-order?
Yeah, Ocarina of Time and Master Mode.
The best pre-order of all time.
For the Prime thing, I would be really surprised if they wanted to relate Metroid Prime 4 to the
Digital
rest
Deluxe
of the series.
version.
I feel like they would really want to market it as something that's like, hey, you can play this if you can still play this and not have to have played the other Metroid.
Yeah, that's the way they're probably going to do it. I think
the collection packet. Oh my god, I love that.
Been of mind that the official title might drop the number 4 the way Dread.
Steve, is that wrapped?
Yeah.
NW cannot be. NW
bro, it's like, is that like $1,000 in your hands?
Where is it? Where?
I don't know.
It is. It is a wrap, a sealed one.
Awesome.
Yes.
Of the 4 Zelda collection for the game.
Even just buying it on its own is expensive.
I think I see it glowing from here. Actually, now
all you gotta do is get it rated, and it would just be worth a fortune.
Wow.
Yeah, you should get it rated, bro.
You should get that rated.
Oh my god,
that's the one.
And it's wrapped. Dude, you need to go get those rated.
No, you should get them rated. Yeah, you should grade them.
Those are like retirement funds.
I'll do it for you.
Really are.
4K is in your hands.
I guarantee the shipping won't go wrong, but
and the value of those will go up after the Zelda movie.
True.
Oh
yeah.
Disgusting. Oh man, that's gonna be expensive.
Oh man.
I know, Thunder Steve, you said you had a couple games.
Yeah, you know what I do? I got a few games that they're out there. You guys tell me what you think. Now, this one is obviously, this is a hope and dream prediction, but it is its 30th anniversary. And I'm talking about Earthbound. I'm talking Mother 3.
They didn't put something on, but they didn't put something on.
Come on, Reggie, give us Mother 3.
I
know.
Instagram the other night. They put something on Instagram the other night. I think I saw one of my friends tweet. I gotta find it. Give me a second.
Bro,
okay.
I gotta find
Mother
remake.
3.
No, I'm not even kidding. Hang on. Oh man,
that would be so fire. That would be sick.
Japan,
I'd be so happy.
Oh, it's
Mother 3
Japan
remake or
NSO
just like a port?
I want to remaster.
Yeah, Japan NSO did get it. They've re-released it in Japan several times.
Yo, imagine if they just got Grezzo to do what they did with Link's Awakening for Mother 3.
Oh,
That art style would
beautiful.
fit.
Yeah.
Graphic.
That would fit really well.
Sorry. I got to change my pants quick. That's
the age rating
Lil Wilder out here.
18 to 24.
Oh man.
And then
No
what
key-
about Punch Out?
Okay.
Okay.
Like a
Yeah,
new
no,
one
I
or the
like
one from
it.
the
Punch
Wii?
Out.
Hold
No,
on.
I'm thinking-
Punch Out.
I mean, it could be the Wii one, but just in general, Punch Out would be a really good game to get on the Switch because of the install base.
Mhm.
It is a good game to throw on there because it could actually garner a lot of sales because of that install base. It'd be a good swan
Jake Paul,
song
Punch
game.
Out.
Like the real
Throw in there.
All right. Yeah, Punch Out. All right. Yeah, that's
mean,
the
I
kind of
think-
game I can see Nintendo announcing.
I mean, honestly, Punch Out is as good of a guess as Endless Ocean was, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Right? I was like, Endless Ocean's coming back. What?
So Punch
Yeah.
Out.
And
Let's
then
go.
we're probably
Punch Out
gonna
would've
get
been
a Mario Sonic Olympics, right?
It could. Yeah.
maybe.
You would hope so.
Listen,
So-
I want to see Kung Fu come
Yeah.
back.
The
Oh, I would love Kung Fu.
the story
Or-
Or
was
something
What'd you
for
say,
Excite
Flam?
Bike.
Excite
so
Bike.
the mother
Ooh.
thing
Bring
was
back Kung Fu.
an
Oh.
Instagram story. I think it was posted by Nintendo Japan because it was in Japanese, but they translated it to "This is going to be fun," and it had like the mic from I forget which Earthbound that is, but yeah, that I saw somebody put it up, but it's gone. Like I don't know where to find it, and I can't find any news
Watch,
about
it's
it.
just an album drop.
But it's
Yeah.
just like, but
Yeah,
they
it
just
could
kind
be an
of-
album drop.
They just kind of alluded to something, so I don't know what it,
They've alluded earlier this year as well that they're doing something for the 30th anniversary.
Yeah,
but
so-
they haven't revealed.
The sad thing about that is that Murder 3 is actually relatively active still over in Japan. Like this year, we got merch over in Japan. They got the release finally to the Game Boy Color NSO and stuff. And over here, we get jack shit. So
It's all the plushes,
Yeah.
the little Earthbound
Yeah.
plushies too. Yeah.
Not to be a
All
Debbie
right.
Downer, but could we maybe argue that because they released Mother 3 on NSO in Japan earlier this year, that it kind of kills the idea of seeing like a remake of it this year?
No. I mean, Link's Awakening is on NSO.
Right, but I just mean more so about timing.
I would just
Like,
take a translated
next year.
version of
Next
it.
year.
Just a translated version. That's it.
I mean,
would
dude,
just
I'd just
take
take
an
an
official
NSO release at this
translation.
point. I would literally take an NSO version.
For sure, I
and
mean, I will take it. Yeah.
But there's more money to be made.
okay.
Yeah, I'll also just throw out, it could be F-Zero GX remaster. It could be. It doesn't have to be that. It would be-
Stop. I don't need no F-Zero.
Dead.
Keep building on the F-Zero 99 hype.
I
Rebuild
would
the
love-
IP.
I would love
Rebuild
that.
the IP.
I
Let's
think
go.
F-Zero makes the most sense, but I'm just saying it'd be nice to get any
Don't-
other Nintendo racer not named Mario Kart.
I would
Yo,
say,
let
don't you guys have like a bet or something about Nintendo racers in the near future or something like
Give me
that?
some wave race.
That's a Jake thing.
Yeah,
No.
Jake is retired.
All right.
Blue
So
Storm
that
HD.
doesn't really matter anymore.
Yeah. Let me give you my takes for the Nintendo Direct really quick because you guys have been throwing out a lot of games, but there's I think there's a good amount of first party and third party games that we haven't really talked about yet. And of course, we got Metroid Prime 4, Metroid Prime 1, 2, possibly Zelda, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker HD. If they're working on a remaster or a remake of Oracle games head by Grezzo, I would love that. Any aspects of final NSO games, Banjo-Tooie, Donkey Kong 64. Yo, how do we have Jet Force Gemini on NSO before that? But I feel there's other games that could fill up those gaps leading to either the reveal of Switch 2 or the rest of the year of what kind of Switch games we have. One big one is Reynaudus, which they finally confirmed is going to be coming out worldwide, because when they first got revealed, it was from that Nintendo Direct only in Japan. And then they confirmed we're going to be localizing it. We're going to have a class. They could talk about Reynaudus over in the June Direct. And then other ones is Andre said, the Genealogy of the Holy War. I'm telling you, they're sitting on so much prospect, so much different possible IPs and games that they could just bust out. I'm even thinking about maybe a new Warriors title that's after a Nintendo IP. There could be a Xenoblade Warriors.
Xenoblade Warriors.
Xenoblade Warriors would be amazing. And then
yeah.
Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Yeah.
And then the new Donkey Kong game. I truly feel that if Nintendo really wants to hit those final numbers for the Switch before the Switch 2 comes out, this is the time that we can truly expect a lot of big and otherwise interesting.
It's now or never.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's
now
not,
or never.
yeah. I mean, this is either a really big direct with some really cool shit, or I guess Switch is they're just kind of done. It's just a bunch of
Man,
So what you're telling me is open world Star Fox.
No, I was about to say Star Fox Assault 2.
Space.
Like, man.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think it'd be
dinosaur
I
planet.
think there's a higher chance that they would try to revive Zero and bring that back.
No, stop, man. I'm done with
All
Star Fox
they
64, bro.
all they gotta do is find a way
remade that game 3 times. And I'm like, why Nintendo? Like, you know how much lore and like so much like exploration could be in terms of the story and the planets of Star Fox. I was even saying this in my chat not too long ago. Like, imagine a Star Fox game where like, okay, like visualize for me a little bit that it's kind of like Persona, but wait, in which that you have all these prospective people that could join the Star Fox crew beyond that of Crystal, Slippy, and Falco. And then like on one side of the day, you go out and do missions. You can accept this Merc mission, you can continue the story, whatnot. And then on your downtime, come back to Corneria, either hang out with Slippy, hang out with Falco, like level them up through social stats. They perform better when they're in the cockpit, or you could do like, you know, combination attacks while you're in the R-Wing and whatnot. And you can hire more people like Bill, Cat, like,
So Starlink Battle for Atlas with social features.
Yes, but Star Fox only.
Well, I mean, you said other random characters. Like,
no. Whoa. Cat and Bill are not random. Those are Star Fox characters.
Yes, but I'm assuming there would be new characters.
Panther, Wolf.
There'd be new characters as well.
There's a lot of characters in Star Fox Command. Like, you know,
Command's not canon, bro. That game is demented.
But there's a lot of characters that they could kind of fit in there. There's like 7 endings.
It is a video game.
There's 9 endings, and 5 of them Fox gets cooked, bro. Whoever wrote that game, are you okay? Like, that's what I want to know. Like,
I've been begging for a Zelda game that ends with Link getting cooked. I mean, I just wanted it to happen. It doesn't happen enough.
Well, it just happened at the beginning.
I'm about to leave. Dude,
they could have killed.
I'm going home.
The Link could have sacrificed himself to save the world at the end of the Tears of the Kingdom. And what really changes?
Listen, I got a game. I got a Zelda game without Link, and this is Hyrule Warriors, the Imprisoning War, because Link wasn't in the past with Zelda as the main character, and then the other, character.
Mike, check this out. You know how Age of Calamity changed the timeline?
Yeah.
If we get Age of Imprisoning in the beginning of Tears of the Kingdom, instead of Zelda grabs the stone, it's Link that grabs the stone, and then he goes to the past, and then that's Age of Imprisoning.
That's a good
dun dun dun. I just want to. I'm gonna keep saying this every time Warriors comes up. I want an original Hyrule Warriors sequel. I want Link back. I want Sia back.
Oh yeah, from the original. I would love that. Well, I mean, did you play the DLC? Like Sia does come back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Sia's fun.
That's what I'm saying. Let's get a sequel. Anyways, we
get a Warriors game, Metroid edition. Just like shooting aliens, like
Metroid Prime Hunters.